Dear learners, I welcome you once again to this online course in effective communication skills for personal and professional development. Within this course, we are in the third week of learning, and Module 3, Academic and Professional Communication, is here to take us to the fourth lecture, that is on presentation skills. So in today's lecture, we'll be learning the key skills of effective presentation. Half the world is composed of people who have something to say and can't. The other half have nothing to say and keep saying it. These lines by Lenny Lashkovsky draw our attention to this very idea, that how it is important to speak, but speak effectively, purposefully, relevantly, and meaningfully. It's not just about speech, it is basically about how effectively and meaningfully we present our views, ideas, emotions, and information. So it's not important to speak just for the sake of speaking. It is not necessary that we should express our ideas because we have to, but we have to have it in a very structured and proficient manner so that the desired goal may be achieved. Here is an outline of today's lecture. We'll be trying to know about presentation skills, followed by its meaning. Then we will deliberate upon its importance, its significance. There will be discussion regarding how to plan for presentation, how to prepare it, and how to present it before the audience. And then there will be inferences drawn on the basis of the discussion. So let us begin. Presentation skills. We see that there are two components involved in it. One is presentation, another is skills. Within the purview of communication, we know that here we are referring to the presentation of ideas, data, message in general. So it is a form of public speaking within the oral communication. We have already referred to the different aspects of communication and communication skills. We have also studied about public speaking. Presentation skills are one of the major aspects and components of public speech. It is a participative two-way communication process which is largely defined by the formal and structured presentation of a message orally or with the help of audio-visual aids. In this kind of presentation, the objective of the communication is very clear, well defined, and the purpose is often to impress, to convince, and to persuade the audience. It is more formal in nature and has a very well-defined nature and characteristics of its own. It is purposeful, it can be interactive, formal as I just mentioned, and it is largely audience-oriented. It is usually required in seminars, conferences, workshops, meetings, interviews, in corporate setup where we have to communicate, cultural purpose, and various other such gatherings where we have to speak and express in order to achieve certain goals. Presentation skills are important in order to help us impress the audience and enhance and win the chance of success. It is also very helpful in presenting our ideas in a systematic manner, a structured manner, so that it can be more convincing and persuasive in nature. In the process of engaging the audience through effective presentation, there are three aspects involved: planning, preparation, and performance. So let us see how we have to prepare ourselves for effective presentation and what are the other nuances of presentation skills. We need to at first know the purpose. Why, after all, we are going to present ourselves. So the purpose of presentation should be very clear in the beginning. Is it for the purpose of informing the audience, or it is for the purpose of mere persuasion? Is it going to facilitate someone, or it is for the purpose of entertainment, or it is to motivate or inspire others? So once the purpose of presentation is clear, it is evident that the actual presentation will also be meaningful and effective. There can be different purposes. Depending on that, there can be different kinds of presentations. Broadly, if we divide, we have oral presentation, or it can be just visual presentation, or maybe it's a combination of both. Say, for example, standing in front of a huge gathering and communicating ideas, extempore speech, or elocution, that would be purely oral presentation. Even without using any visual audio aid, one can express oneself effectively and the presentation can be effective and meaningful. However, it can be only visual also, where just the images and the graphics, they speak a lot more than the words. And obviously, the most common way of presentation involves both oral as well as visual cues, because that makes the delivery effective and interesting. Now, depending upon the other way of classification, we can have presentation skills exclusively for academic purpose. For example, seminars, conference, classroom lectures, presenting a report. So in academic sphere, it is of great use and it involves both oral as well as visual mode of presentation. It can be for the purpose of business, in corporate setup within the organization, addressing the delegation, addressing people from other geographical structure, coming from different cultural background. So for the purpose of trade and business, various kinds of presentations are needed. It can be for the purpose of socio-cultural reason. It can be for the purpose of general awareness of the people in the surrounding. These are some key components which it should include. First and the foremost is clear structure. It's not just presentation, it is not just any kind of communication, but it is having a very specific objective of its own, and therefore it is very necessary that it has a very clear structure. When we say clear structure, it means its content should be well organized, it should be effective, it should be meaningful, and it should be coherent in nature. If we have prepared ourselves well in terms of the content, then it is certain that the presentation will be full of confidence. So the presenter of the content or the person who is speaking needs to have confidence in terms of presenting one's ideas, feelings, information. And there are various aspects which ascertain whether the speaker is full of confidence or not. Audience engagement is again very important component within the presentation skills. When we say that the objective is to convince the audience, the purpose is to persuade the audience, the purpose is to agree the listener to the call for some action, then it is very necessary that the speaker is able to connect with the audience. So engagement with the audience is another very important component within the presentation skills. Then comes body language, and as we know that it is not just the words that come from our mouth when we are speaking. Our delivery, our communication, our transmission of message needs to be supplemented by the accurate and appropriate body language too. The eye contact, the smile on the face, suitable and appropriate gesture, hand movement, head movement, all that becomes necessary in order to make a presentation skill effective. Voice control, another very important thing. We should neither be very loud nor very low. We should not be very fast in our pace, nor it should be very dull. So voice control plays a very important role in helping the presenter remain engaged with the audience. Visual aids also play very important role, because at times when mere oral presentation fails to draw and catch the attention of the audience, in that case adding visual supplement adds interest and charm to the presentation. So visual aids in the form of graphics, poster, or maybe slides, as we use PowerPoint, slides are there, some data, some color, some flags, some props, all that can be helpful in enhancing the effect of the presentation. Time management. A presentation will be successful only if it can maintain itself within the given time frame. If it would be very long, the lengthy presentation may lead to boredom. And if it is very short, then some very relevant information may miss from the presentation. So time management is also very important. Sometimes even a very good presenter, a very good speaker fails in the objective because of not maintaining the time. And handling questions. When we are presenting ourselves before the audience, it is very obvious that it would sensitize them, and then there may be some questions from them. So the speaker, the presenter should also know the art of handling the questions which come from the audience, and for that maintaining composure is very important. One has to be very much confident about what one has said, and that will be very helpful in satisfying the queries of the audience. When we take the first P, that is planning part of the presentation, then it's very necessary that we know why presentation. Why are we going to present? And what are we going to achieve after the presentation? Will it be to inform people some facts, some data, some statistical detail? Is it to be delivered? Or to persuade the audience, that to convince them to what we are going to say? Or to demonstrate, tell the audience about how things take place, how things happen, inform them about the procedure? So once the purpose will be clear in the mind, it will become easy for the presenter to prepare presentation. One should also analyze the occasion. Is it going to be a business meeting? Is it going to be an academic conference? Will it be a public interaction platform? Is it going to be a kind of address to the citizens or the people in the surrounding? So what is the occasion? That is also very important to keep in mind while planning the presentation and its preparation. Choosing a suitable title. Remember that selecting appropriate title or topic of presentation does half of the work, because when we are in position to choose the topic, appropriate title is framed once, then it makes it very clear in our mind that what is going to be the overall discussion or the content of the presentation. So selection of appropriate title is very important, because it is the sign of our plan. The kind of blueprint gets reflected from the title that we choose. So that is the first thing that we tell the audience, therefore we should choose it carefully. Assessing the audience, the presenter should never underestimate the abilities of the audience. They may be literate, they may not be. They may be highly educated, they may be less experienced, they may be school children, or they may be just little kids. But we as speakers and presenters should know that the audience is equally intelligent and will be able to understand what we will present. If it is going to be a presentation for corporate purpose within the corporate system, then one should be well familiar with the needs, values, expectations, demands, history, and the future plan of that firm or organization. So, likewise, it is necessary for the presenter to assess the audience very well. These things are, if kept in mind by the presenter, certainly it will be a good presentation. After planning, next step is preparation. Now we have planned things in the mind. We have decided that this is going to be the audience. This is the expectation of the audience. This is the objective of the presentation. And if these things are clear in mind, then preparation part becomes relatively easy. So while preparing for an effective presentation, the presenter should first of all try to win over the anxiety and nervousness. Because even if one has prepared good content for presentation, in the absence of confidence and under the impact of anxiety, it becomes difficult for the speaker to present well. And the lack of confidence mars and destroys the entire effect of presentation. So, managing anxiety is very important. Now, how to do this? It's very necessary that the presenter has prepared the content well, because half of the work is done, and to a great extent, confidence is gained on account of good preparation. So, if the content is sound, if the knowledge about the subject is complete, then in that case, it becomes easy to manage the anxiety, because when you know, you feel confident. Apart from that, repeated practice or regular exposure to such a situation where there is audience and you have to present, that also helps one in managing the anxiety and nervousness. Read and recall previous readings, experiences to concentrate. For example, if you have delivered a talk or you made a presentation last week or a month ago, then try to recall the experience of that presentation, because that will also help you to customize your present presentation. And it is very helpful in concentrating one's mind as well. Develop the ideas and points. So it is always wise that you make some points which are relevant and which may work as a prompt in case you forget something, because this help you in addressing all the relevant points and nothing important will be missed out. Establishing main idea, logic, relevance, authenticity. While preparing the presentation, please ensure whether it is logical, whether it is relevant in view of the occasion and the purpose, and how authentic the content and presentation that you are planning and preparing for presentation is going to be. So these are very important aspects that we should not overlook. Gathering relevant support material for comprehensive information on the subject. Depending upon the purpose of presentation, say for example, if it is to deliver some data, fact, a statistical detail, and the data is such that you cannot retain everything in your mind, then it is always advised to carry the data with you and the relevant documents so that you can support your argument as and when required. Preparing audio-visual aids. If possible, try to use audio-visual supplements in order to enhance the effectiveness of your presentation. So while preparing yourself for presentation on a specific occasion, it is very necessary that during the preparation, these things are kept in mind. Now, before actual presentation day, there are certain things which we need to work on and exercise in order to brush up things and refine so that the presentation could be effective before the audience. So rehearse your presentation physically or mentally to organize the content of presentation. Rehearsal really helps. Before you present, if you can practice physically, orally, you can present yourself before your friend or a family member, or without anybody's presence within your mind. If you try to organize what you have to present, what you have to share or communicate, it can be helpful. Learn the ways to handle stage fright. Yes, this is, I think, the most crucial thing which we should be careful about in presentation. If we can manage and handle the nervousness or the anxiety or the stage fright, then presentation skill will not be a difficult deal. But how to do this? As you know, practice is one very important thing. You will automatically be able to overcome this fright if you get repeated chance to be with the public, be with the audience, and speak before them. There is another interesting tip that when you are speaking before the large audience, you pretend to be looking at them, but you do not focus on any individual face. And over the period of time, with repeated exposure to a stage and the audience, it will become very smooth and very easy for the presenter to interact with the audience. And body language on a regular basis means do not wait for the presentation day to practice it. Rather, make it a habit of yourself. So, in our day to day conversations, whether we are talking to our friends, whether we are in the formal, informal setup, whether we are with the colleagues or the friends, there are some etiquettes with regard to body language. If we can practice it regularly, it will really be of great help. Then comes the presentation. Now, when we have to make the presentation, then these are the things that we can keep in mind. Organize presentation is very necessary because this is what presentation skill means. It's not just delivery of information, but it has to be effective, organized, structured communication of the message. For that matter, it is necessary that we divide our presentation neatly in these three parts: introduction, main body, and conclusion. Start with startling data, facts, anecdotes, question, and humor. So, when you address the public and you are going to talk about something very important, first thing first is to draw their attention. Ensure that the audience is interested in listening to you. And for that, these tricks can be really helpful. So you may start with some anecdote, you may start with some story, you may share some gentle, graceful humor, or you may start with some startling facts or data in order to draw the attention of the audience and make them ready to listen to you. Credibility and precision, these are very important aspects. Whatever we say, we should be responsible for that. We should ensure that it is authentic and drawn from reliable sources. Conclude with a summary, reinforce the key idea, and end with a positive note of hope. So, even if we are talking about some very grave issue, very serious issue or problem of the society or the world, one should always try to arrive at a constructive conclusion. So, it should be neatly, systematically, clearly summarized, and the chief ideas, key ideas should be underlined before closing the presentation, and end with a strong statement or call to action. If it is, if the purpose of the presentation is such where we wish to persuade others, to convince others to come forward and address an issue, then it should always end with maybe gentle reminder or repetition of the key objective and call for action. So this is how we can ensure effective presentation. Now here in this video, the link has already been shared. You can access it and go through. The purpose of including this presentation here was to give you some idea about how to differentiate between good presentation and bad presentation. We usually talk about how to ensure good presentation. But we cannot really understand what a good presentation is unless we know what is a bad presentation and the things which make a presentation bad, why they should not be repeated. In this video, you find that there is a gentleman who has been invited by the professor to make a presentation, and he straight away lifts a paper and start reading things out of it. In that reading of the paper, the speaker and the presenter is unable to maintain any eye contact with the audience. And you will see that makes the entire session very boring. Not only that, he is thoroughly reading from the paper, not maintaining eye contact with the audience, but he is fumbling also. The volume, the pitch is also not very effective. So you will realize that all that makes the audience get bored, and many of the people present over, they start playing with the pen, somebody is sketching, someone is watching the screen of the mobile phone, and someone is yawning. They are giving gentle body language expression that the things are not going on well. So this is something which one should avoid while making presentation. The same presenter has been advised by the professor to prepare it well and present next week. And next time when he comes, he has learned a lot from the previous presentation, as I just said. And on that basis, he is able to give effective presentation. Now that he is well prepared, you will see he is not using any document, and the body language is also full of confidence. He is able to maintain eye contact with the audience and deliver the content so effectively that everybody's attention is drawn towards him. Try watching this in order to understand how we can learn from bad presentation. There is another important suggestion, that when we are attending others' presentation and we realize that the presentation is not going well, then also we should learn from that. That if this is something which is not letting us have interest in the presentation, then when we will be presenting, we will try to strictly avoid these bad practices. So this demo video tries to inform about what is a good presentation and how it is different from bad presentation, and what are the things that we should avoid when we are trying to prepare ourselves for effective, meaningful, and impressive presentation. This brings us to the conclusion, and in the talk today, we learnt the meaning, the purpose of presentation skills, how important they are for us in order to achieve better in both personal as well as professional world. Mainly in professional setup, good presentation skills can be helpful in winning success for us. The overall conclusion from the talk, which we can infer, tells us that the most important thing is preparation in order to have effective presentation. If we can prepare ourselves well, starting from the content to the coherence, to the manner of presentation, the time that it is going to consume in order to make it emphatic and impressive by using appropriate visuals, half of the work will be done and the presentation will really be effective. If we can maintain composure, confidence will automatically come. So confidence will come from preparation as well as composure. When we know we are confident, when we know we are calm, quiet, and composed, and all these play very important role in ensuring effective presentation. And because we have to deal with the audience, because it is an organized interaction with a specific nature of audience, with a specific purpose and expectation, it is very necessary that the presentation is engaging. It is not one-way monotonous delivery, but it is something which involves the audience as well, and that will ensure that it is interesting. So preparation, presentation, composure, confidence, engagement, and interest. If we can ensure these, then we will be able to communicate with confidence and with impact. And some activities for you are here. You are advised to prepare short PowerPoint presentation. Try to practice presenting it before your family members, friends. Random object presentation. This will help you in building that capacity to handle the questions and the situation remarkably. So, any object can be picked randomly and try to talk about it, present it to people, and convince them, persuade them with your points. Bad presentation role play. So, in order to learn good presentation skills, it is also necessary, as just we have seen, that what are those practices which make a presentation bad presentation. So, you can have a role play of bad presentation. So, these engaging activities will certainly help you in improving your presentation skills. Thank you very much. I hope I have been able to touch upon the key points related to presentation skills in today's talk. Thank you.